against good thinking players, then when you make a bluff, your story has to make sense. There's one that I made that went disastrously wrong. Yeah. But at the same time, it wasn't a disaster because I felt that that spot was a good spot to bluff. Because I felt that throughout the hand, pre-flop, flop and turn, I was representing something credible. It was the EPT Grand Final in Monte Carlo last year, and it was against a young American kid of Asian descent, whose name escapes me at the moment, but a very well-known online player. And I'd just been moved to the table, and I was talking a lot, and being very loud, and I was splashing around in a few pots. Basically had a decent stack and just wanted to just act like a bit of a nutter, and just didn't want people raising my big blind, and just creating a table image whilst really playing quite tight. Anyway, he's raising my big blind from early mid position. I've defended with 7-5 of diamonds, which to a certain extent is fairly standard, and the flop brings me a gut shot and a backdoor diamond draw. I then lead out for a quarter of the pot, and I've got this kind of mad image, and I just want to, he's just expecting me to check, and he bets, and I do whatever I want to do. But I just decided to lead out for 1,000 into 4,000, and I know pretty much full well that I'm going to get raised here a lot by any sort of player that just sees this bet as more of a check than actually a bet. And he raises, and I call. On the turn, I pick up the diamond draw, as well as my gut shot, and I check, and he sits there for quite a while, and then he makes quite a big bet. And I immediately move all in for, not an over bet, just put him in. I mean, there was like 8,000 in on the turn, he bet 6.5, I moved in for like 30, of which he had like 26. So I had a lot of fold equity. If he was just two barreling me with no hand, or had a weakish semi-draw himself, the raise all in was enough that he couldn't call. And the turn made him a full house, and he went, I call. He called me instantly, and I went, nice hand, I'm drawing dead. So that was one bluff that went wrong, but I had a plan for a hand. I was representing the hand that he had, kind of, if you know what I mean. It probably wasn't the greatest bluff in the world. I mean, someone did argue to me that if I'd really turned a house or turned trips, would I really check shove the turn? But I'm like, the stack sizes were right. The check shove was a lot so that he could fold, but it wasn't that much more that you wouldn't have done it. If you wanted to check raise the turn, you would probably check raise to the amount that I did check raise for. So, but yeah, and everyone looked at me and smiled, and the suspicions that I was a bit of a lunatic were confirmed when I was all in on the turn with 7 high drawing dead. But it's one of those